Really excited to introduce you to our two amazing experts today. First, I'm excited to introduce Sophie Abdul-Razak. Sophie is a serial entrepreneur and privacy expert who brings a decade of experience translating business goals into developed products. She has held prior leadership positions at some of the largest Fortune 500 and billion-dollar nonprofit organizations and operates her own consulting practice. It was during her undergraduate studies at Virginia Tech where friendship was sparked with her fellow Hokies and future co-founders of Good Fund. After graduating with double majors in political science and psychology, Sophie went on to receive a master's in global affairs from the University of Denver and her Juris Doctorate from American University College of Law with a specialization in privacy law. In addition to co-founding Good Fund, Sophie also founded a consultancy practice, SBA Strategies, where she teaches product management and serves as a corporate advisor. She is always energized by working with small businesses and entrepreneurs to share her expertise, helping them build sustainable, prospering companies. She is committed to heightening the voices of underrepresented and underserved individuals. So great to have you here, Sophie.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to chat.
Wonderful. Okay, and next we have Viridiana Ponce. Viri is a Latina business consultant and food expert dedicated to helping small businesses launch and grow. She founded VP Consulting in 2014 to support immigrants and entrepreneurs and Spanish speakers like her family. Happy 10 years, Viri. Viri supports clients with financial projections, accessing capital, and strategic action plans. Over the past decade, Viri has empowered thousands of entrepreneurs through financial education, secured millions in funding, and helped launch numerous storefronts, catering companies, and food trucks. Perfect. Look at this. It's all perfectly aligned. Committed to her community, her mission is to educate, enrich, and empower entrepreneurs on their business journey. I couldn't think of two more perfect people today. So let's jump into it. Okay. So my first question is for Viri. What are the first steps someone should take when turning their food truck dream into a reality? Like, how do you start a food truck?
Great question. Hi, everybody. So I've got 5 tips for you. So the first one, you want to make sure that you define your concept clearly and concisely. So I would really think about, what are you offering? So make sure that you're able to describe what you're offering in terms of your menu. Is it gourmet tacos, artisanal ice cream? Is it fusion cuisine? And this should be something that's going to be unique. And I would say something that's reflective of your passion and your culinary expertise. You also want to be able to communicate what's the style of food that you're offering folks and what makes it different. And don't say because it's good, because your food should be good. So we want to get more specific about, whether it's the ingredients that you're using or cooking techniques. And then you want to make sure that you set up your operational plan. So you want to make sure that you have simplified operations, and we're going to get more into that later on. You understand who your clientele is. So this is all going to go to form and defining your concept. Number 2, you want to make sure that you know your numbers. It's really important that we're able to identify what your startup expenses are going to be. So not only what it's going to cost to either build out your food truck or for you to purchase a food truck, but also how much is it going to cost to brand your food truck, right? Are you going to do wrapping? Are you going to paint your food truck? What technology are you going to use, and how much is that going to cost? What are the deposits for your commercial kitchen? So make sure that you identify all your startup expenses, because this is also going to help you out with your funding plan. Along with knowing your numbers, you want to make sure that you calculate your operating expenses. So anything such as your rent, and you're going to have multiple rents. If you have a food truck, you're typically going to have a commercial kitchen rent, a storage rent. It could be different from where your commercial kitchen is at. And then oftentimes we also pay for where we're actually parking, where we're going to be selling at. And then another number that's really important is understanding your break-even point. So with your numbers, I would say if you create financial projections, you'll cover all of these startup expenses, operational expenses, and break-even point. Tip number 3, I would say test the market before you invest so much time and money into building out your food truck, or investing in purchasing this food truck, because you want to make sure that you understand if people like your food, if they like the product, if you're able to define and communicate what your concept is. And so a couple of ways you can do that. You can think about doing like pop-up events. You can think about doing like a catering gig, or even starting at a farmer's market. Number 4, I would say immerse yourself in the industry. And this is so important because we want to make sure that we understand what's going on in the world of food trucks. And we want to see what the competition is. And something that could be helpful as well is there's like food truck associations in different cities. So I would search for different food truck groups, or different like food industry related groups. And that way you can also learn what are the common challenges, or like places you should avoid, or places you definitely want to sell at, or like what festivals are the best. So it could be really helpful. And then number 5, I would say, think about how can you create a memorable and consistent experience for your clients. You're a food truck, but you don't have like a sit down location necessarily, but you still have the opportunity to like wow your clients and to provide them with something that's very special, and build client loyalty. So I would say, think about those 5 things. So defining your concept, knowing your numbers, making sure you're immersing yourself in the industry, testing the market out, and then really think about how can you create a memorable experience. So if you follow these steps, that's what I would do first, so you can turn their dream into a reality.
I love that. So much good information in there and how to like really make that come to life. Okay, Sophie, my next question is for you. How important is it to choose the right vehicle for your food truck business, and what factors should be considered?
So it's very important to choose the right vehicle for your food truck business, especially because that's how you're going to get place to place. That's how you're going to be, coming to the different private events, how you're going to be, pulling up to the farmers markets, parking on streets, things like that. So the number 1 tip here is reliability, right? Whether you go new or used, you need to make sure that your vehicle is reliable. And the great thing about food trucks is it's a car. So not foreign. It's not a foreign concept to you, in terms of like how you take care of your food truck versus and evaluate a food truck. Is very similar to how you would take and evaluate a car, right? So you want to make sure that the brakes are in working order, that the tires are in working order. You want to understand how old that engine is, when the last time is the transmission, original, or has it been changed? Like, you want to know that history. What do they say? Show me the car facts. You want to be shown the the food truck facts as well. So you want to make sure, first and foremost, that you have a reliable vehicle, whether it's new or whether it's used. Now, we all know that a newer vehicle is going to ensure that reliability from the offset. And so, when I think about securing additional funding resources, having a newer vehicle is also important, because it's an asset that a bank or something like that can better rely on. So that's something that you want to consider. As far as the internal pieces of the truck, right? Turning a reliable vehicle, right, into the food truck asset itself, you want to make sure that you are using the right types of equipment to outfit that truck. We can talk about more of that later, because you want to outfit your truck with different fryers and machines depending upon the business, right? So the internal workings of the truck with the different types of equipment that you need differs depending on what type of cuisine that you're making. But when it comes to the food truck itself, it's reliability, reliability, reliability. You want to think about it in the same way that you think about your personal vehicle. Okay, you want to check the same things that you would check with your personal vehicle. Newer is better, but it's also more expensive. So when you're looking at the used market, I want you to focus on, I want you to think, show me the car facts, right? Show me those food truck facts so that you understand the history, so that you can better dictate that reliability piece.
I love that. Reliability is key. And you're right. It's a totally foreign concept. Like many of us have some kind of vehicle, so we can use that knowledge to help us. Okay, perfect. Vidi, my next question is for you. Can you share insights on navigating health regulations and ensuring compliance for a mobile food business?
Absolutely. So first, I think it's really helpful to understand why this is so important. A lot of times people think it's just an application, just like a little check mark, and it goes beyond that. It's really important because the public is eating our food. So the county and cities have these regulations and applications and these, these inspections because they want to make sure that there's safety standards and that that the public is safe. So that's just super important that we know and that we're able to relate that to our staff as well. So they take it as seriously as we do. What I would say, a couple of tips that I have is that you want to make sure that you are partnering up with your health department. They're not the enemy. They're not trying to close you down, right? They just want to make sure that the food is prepared in a safe manner. And so what I've seen is that when my clients really become partners with their health department or with the inspectors, that's when things go more smoothly. So I would say, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Oftentimes, health departments also have like a phone number, or they have appointments, whether they're in person or virtually, where you can actually ask them questions. And so I would say call them. If you're going through the application, you have questions, just give them a call or go in, because they're really there to help you out. And I've seen when we've done that with my clients that we've had like smoother inspections, and then the inspectors know that you want to work with them. So I think that's a really great way to like start off this journey. The other tip that I have is I would take your manager's food safety course either before you start the application process or during, because it's going to actually help you complete the application for the mobile food vending or any type of health permit that you get. Because in the application, they're going to ask us about what are your procedures. They're going to ask about, do you know the right temperatures or the right way that you're supposed to prepare or store certain foods? And so the answers are all in the food safety course. And so, and there's a lot of resources as well that you can print out and you even give them to your staff, or also just put them up in your food truck. Another tip that I have is that as you're looking for permitted kitchens, because that's a requirement for you to have a permitted kitchen, that you can ask, or one of the questions I would ask is if they can support you with the application process, because oftentimes a commercial kitchen will help you out with the process. Oftentimes commercial kitchens also have an incubator program where they can provide you with support. So that's also a great question as you're interviewing different commercial kitchens to see if they can help you out with that. And then I would also, what I do with my clients is that we put everything in a spreadsheet so we can keep track of what we've completed, what's still open, and then what's the status of everything. Oh, one more thing, and then this goes along with the point I made earlier. Make sure that you invest time in training your staff on the food safety practices. It's really important that you include them in this. And then I also have a client, for example, that she has her manager on a monthly basis do an inspection as if they were the health inspector. And so that they're checking like temperatures or asking questions or making sure that everybody's like following procedures, because you're going to get inspections and some of them will be also surprise inspections. So this is a good way to like just make sure that we're up to date with everything.
I love that, like having the little run through so you're fully prepared when the surprise one happens, and partnering with your health department and looking at them as like a support system instead of something scary, I think is a really cool perspective, and using the resources they have. Okay, Sophie, my next question is for you. How can aspiring food truck owners craft compelling menus that attract customers?
Oh my gosh, crafting a compelling menu is perhaps one of the most complex but most fun things I think food truck owners specifically get to do, because you get to change your menu for so many different things. Like if you're going to a festival, or if you're going on for a private event, right? I think the key to, great menu management is first having a comprehensive menu of all the things that you're able to do, that you're able to provide, right? And so, if you, no matter the cuisine type, you just want all of your, your specialties and your different sides. You always want to be able to do a drink, but you want to be, serve different drinks. If you have a specialty drink, or if you just do bottle drinks, whatever, but you want to have this big comprehensive menu. We call it a master menu at Good Find, right? And then you want to take that master menu and you want to be able to tailor it to the different events that you go to. So for example, if you're doing an in-person corporate event, where there's going to be 200 people, you want to look at your master menu and you want to spin it up to a smaller menu that has things that you can easily quick serve within 1 to 3 minutes, right? Because you don't want to have long lines. But if you're at a festival and the festival's theme is kids, you want to be able to take that master menu and tack it down to only kids options, right? And so menu management, great menu management really is about flexibility. It's about putting out there everything that you can do, and then making smaller menus. And our platform makes this really easy, but making smaller menus that tailor to the different events that you're going to. The beauty of food trucks, and the reason why I think that they are growing so much faster than the restaurant industry itself, is because of that flexibility. It's because when you show up, you're able to do something different than a restaurant, right? A restaurant comes in, they have a stagnant menu. You go in every single day, it's going to be that same menu. You have to provide what you want. But as a food truck owner, you're able to tailor your menus to different places that you go based on their needs and your service. So the beauty is being able to look at that master menu as your comprehensive, most complex way of offerings, right? And then being able to tailor those offerings really beautifully depending on the situation. And the right technology will help you do that with ease.
Wow, I never thought about that. That is such a cool idea that you can tailor it no matter where you're going.
Of course. That's the beauty of being mobile.
Oh my gosh, look, I might start a food truck. You guys
Right.
are kind of excited. Okay. My next question is for Viri. What are some effective strategies for choosing the best location for your food truck?
Yes. So I'm going to say know your audience. That's so important, right? So what are your client demographics? And so I think understanding the type of clients that, like, if you're thinking about, all right, I'm going to go into downtown, right? So I would think about, okay, what are corporate clients looking for? And like Sophia, you were talking about this master menu and tailoring it, right? If you have this master menu and you're going into a downtown area, then you probably want to pull from that menu what are going to be items that are quick, healthy, and maybe lunch options for this, for this location and your food truck to be more successful. So really think through who does this concept align with, and then what location are you going to, so that you're able to sell the right things to the right people. Another thing that's really important is ensuring that a location that you choose has high foot traffic, because that'll get you in front of new clients, right? Not just people that you are exposing or that you have reached to, but newer clients as well. So that's something that's really key. The other thing, as well as, we want foot traffic, but we also want really convenient parking. And for example, I had a client who was on a really busy street. So she was so excited because she's like, there's so much traffic. But guess what? There wasn't any parking. And so what would happen is that people would see the food truck and they're like, oh, I want to stop. And they'd go around and go around, and then they wouldn't stop because there wasn't any like safe and convenient parking. So we don't want to lose out on clients, right? And that's also something to think about, that if you are in an area where your food truck is visible, that'll be really helpful. Another thing that I think is really important is that you want to make sure that you check the zoning locations and making sure that local regulations and zoning laws, that you're able to have a food truck at a specific area. I worked with with one of my clients where the city was so specific and particular in terms of like, well, it can be here, but not here. Like it could be this many feet away from a restaurant, but not, so there is like a puzzle. Luckily, that city had a zoning map that we went through. We could plug in different addresses and we could see what were areas that she could actually park her food truck. So that was really helpful. And so I would say make sure that you check your zoning, the zoning department, give them a call, ask them to see if there's an interactive map because I've seen those before. And then along with the zoning check, I would say have a backup location, because you may think that the first location is ideal, but it may not work out, or you might want to, also expand the hours or times, or, maybe you want to capture a different type of audience. So I would say have backup locations, and then also make sure that you check the zoning for them.
Yes. Oh, that's so many good different tips. And knowing about that zoning or interactive map seems like such a easy and really helpful resource. Okay. Sophie, my next question's for you. How can fintech solutions help support food truck owners, especially those who are underbanked or underserved?
Yeah, I think, we've just sat here and heard all of the different complexities that are necessary to go into, owning and operating a food truck. And the fact of the matter is it's a lot going on. You have a lot to manage, and usually, food truck and mobile entrepreneurs are solo entrepreneurs, or they're running their business with their family. And this means that you don't have a bunch of staff to get the financials done, and to track down your schedule, and to manage your menus, and to establish your location and all of that. And so technology plays a really big part, especially the right technology, in running your business really seamlessly and having access to all that information in one place, right? So a technology like GoodFind does exactly that. You run your entire business operations on one system, so you don't have to worry about where your schedule is. The moment you log in, you know where you're supposed to be. You have those interactive maps. It'll take you exactly to that location, and it'll also take your clients to that location. You don't have to worry about payments because all your payments run through the system. You know how much money you're making, where you're making that money, and you're able to get access to your money instantly, right? That's really important. You're also able to have those catering events where you're able to send invoices and things like that. You're able to find business on our platform. So when you're looking for those perfect places to park, right? Sometimes it's about finding the right place to park, but most often it's about being at a private event or a corporate hosted event where you have a captivated audience, where the person that you partner with is actually responsible for bringing the people to you. And then you have guaranteed minimums, right? So you know exactly how much money you're going to make before you even go out, right? Good technology, of which I believe we are the best, right? But there is good technology everywhere. I don't want to discount, other things, but you want to have a technology that really does the work for you so that you can do the work that you need to do, right? Preparing great creative food and serving your customers with the best customer service possible. Because the one thing that technology can't do is bring the people back to you, right? You're responsible for that. But a great comprehensive technology at the right price will ensure that you are always prepared, okay? To be able to run your business without having to worry about taxes, without having to worry about setup, without having to worry about scheduling, without having to worry about meeting management. You want a technology that can take all of those worries off your plate so that you can focus on preparing amazing cuisine that keeps the customers coming back more and more.
Yes, I love that. It's kind of like a whole hub for your operations, so you don't have to worry.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
we actually got a question in the chat that I think like piggybacks perfectly on this. For Good Find, how does that help you with menu? Because I know you mentioned earlier it can help with menu kind of organizing. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, and totally happy to do a demo for anyone, later on. But we basically allow owners and operators to make that master menu, right? So you You input your master menu one time, because who wants to do something 2 or 3 times? You do that one time. So you put in your specialties, you put in, the items, the pricing. We also give you a lot of data that allows you to adjust pricing, right? As you find out that things are more popular or less popular, so that people can continue to come back. But you're able to have full operational control of that master menu. And then what we do is we allow you to spin up flex menus, as many as you want. So it's truly unlimited for different locations that you're accessing without having to reinvent the wheel. Those flex menus, so those smaller menus, are then attached to a single location. So if you're going to Amazon corporate one day, you're able to attach the Amazon menu. You're also able to attach the menu that you use when you go out on 14th Street. Maybe that's the place that you usually park when you're not at a corporate event. If you're at a festival, you're able to spin up that festival menu and attach it to that. This also has the added benefit of making sure that you have the right taxes.
Oh, it looks like Sophie just froze. So I'm sure she'll come back, and I have it in my head. We were talking about taxes. So we'll pick back right up when she comes back. I love tech. But Viri, I have my next question for you. So let's talk about challenge. Oh, Sophie, you're
Oh,
back.
am I unfrozen? It's so funny because you almost frozen for me. Hi again. But all that to say, maximum menu flexibility, but you only have to put in the menu one time, and then you're able to spin up as many menus as you want, attaching them to the exact location where you're going, with no fuss. It's easier to show in a demo, but it's super, super flexible. It allows you to meet customers where they're at. And the best part is all the menus are live at once. So you can take orders from all of your different locations for the week at one time, right? So you get that revenue flow instantly to the different attached menus. Super cool. I'm obsessed with how it works. But that also lets you play with pricing and play with menu flexibility and all of that without having to spin up a new menu every single time, which can be, again, totally time consuming. It's all about efficiency. And we talked about a lot there, right? How do I spend less time doing the logistical things so that I'm on the road and serving the food as much as possible, right? Because that's where the revenue is. You want to be able to go to as many events as you can, on as many days as you can, providing the best cuisine. And you need the right technology so that you can have the best customer service. It's about the food, it's about the customer service. The technology should 1000% take care of the rest. And if it doesn't, I'm going to say it here, it's not good.
Yes. I love that because I'm sure there's so much great data in that too. And I know Viri and so you both have talked so much about how like having that data, that information is key, and knowing where to find it, and not just kind of feeling our way through our business, but actually having that hard data. And we've dropped Good Find the link for Sophie's. She's been talking about this particular tech. So if you guys want to, go to the link, visit it, we have all that good information for you. So don't worry, we're not going to leave anyone looking for any links or anything. We got y'all. Okay, so Viri, my next question is for you. What are some common challenges faced by food truck owners? I'm sure there's many, but such as entrepreneurship, but for food truck owners, and how can they overcome them, especially in terms of finance and compliance?
Great. Well, the first thing that I was thinking was menu management. So just kind of like echoing what Sophia was talking about. What I see oftentimes is that people have too many options. And sometimes we think that's good, right? We're like, oh, we want to give everybody, like, make everybody happy. No, right? That can be really overwhelming. So once again, it's selecting the right food for the right audience, for the right event, for the right location. And so if we have too many options, then that's going to overwhelm your customers, but then it's also going to slow down your operations. And so we want to make sure that, with the food truck, that we have that turnover, that we're able to serve clients and, feed as many people and, while making amazing food, while giving consistent positive customer service. So I would say definitely making sure you have the right technology, like Sophia was talking about, simplifying the menu to really focus on those like standout items that can be prepared efficiently within a limited space of your food truck. And then I was also going to say, make sure that you regularly are updating your menu, and then based on definitely data, right? So having that conversation about taking a look at what your data is of what's selling, what's actually not selling, and then making sure that every item on your menu is profitable. Oftentimes people don't know how much it costs them to make a specific, a specific plate. They don't have the profit. They don't know what the profit is, or they set prices just based on competition or what they feel. And we want to make sure that every single menu item is profitable, that it's all adding to your bottom line. The other challenge that I see often as well has to do with definitely with your sales strategy and break-even analysis. And I see a lot of times that clients or food truck owners are struggling with either not selling enough to cover all of their expenses. And so if you spend time building out your financial projections, if you calculate out what your break-even cost is, then you're going to know, all right, does it make sense for me to participate in this event or in this festival or not? How much do I need to sell on a daily basis in order for me to cover all of my expenses? All of my clients that I work with, they all know on a daily basis, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, how much they need to sell. So we need to make sure that we have that number and that we're setting those goals. Another challenge that I see is that there's multiple rents, right, that we have. So we talked about there's the storage, there's the commercial kitchen, there's vendor fees. And so it's really important that we have a good financial management system where we're tracking all of those expenses, that we understand and we're evaluating once again, like, is that location or is this festival the best option for me? So having a good financial management system, having a budget is going to be really helpful. And then regularly reviewing your expenses and considering, what's going on with your operations is going to be really, really helpful. And then there's great programs that you can use. I mean, there's like QuickBooks, there's Wave, there's FreshBooks. So we want to make sure that we are using technology, right? As Sophia was saying, that we're using it, that we're saving time, that we're being efficient, because who wants to do all of this work manually? Nobody, right? So use a financial management tool to help you out. And then I would say building your financial projections will help you out. And then if we need capital, which I see this is also a common challenge, that we're always looking for working capital, or we want to make an update to our food truck, right? Whether it's like updating the equipment or getting, more catchy like branding, we're going to need money for that. And so if you have your financial projections, that'll help you out. If you have a financial management tool that you can pull profit and loss statements and different financial statements, that'll help you out with getting and accessing capital. And I know Accion right now has a loan that is for equipment financing, and they are funding mobile foods. So I think someone in the chat had asked about like financing. I would also take a look at that, because that'll be really helpful.
Yes, thank you so much, Vidi, and we'll drop that link in the chat if you'd like to find out more information and things like that. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about the different rents and all the different costs that there are in so many different places. So having that understanding is really helpful, and making sure your food is profitable. So key. Okay, so Sophie, how can food truck owners effectively market their business so they can stand out in a competitive market?
Oh my goodness. First of all, let me just say, I think that food truck owners and like mobile forward businesses are the absolute goats at this. And that's like leveraging social media. No joke. I don't know how many people know about like food truck history in the United States, because mobile businesses have always gone gangbusters internationally, but it's just picked up here in the US. 2008 pandemic, picture a time people couldn't afford restaurants anymore, economic turmoil. I mean, although we've had 2020 now, so it makes 2008 feel like, like easy work. Like, but they were thinking about creative ways to still own a food business, and putting their business on wheels just made so much sense. And how did they leverage and market? Social media. And I mean, they were really, I'm talking about way before restaurants. They were like really what I think were the proprietors of what great social media marketing looks like. And so they were on leveraging early the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the Twitters to help people find their location. They were marketing to HOAs and coming up with really fun ways to find them on different streets, right? Having people follow them, posting their daily schedules, and having a different menu per day where people could be really excited about that cuisine. And I think that's still the way that we best market now, right? Putting yourself out there and really garnering a social media following is way easier for food trucks than it is for restaurant businesses, because y'all are cool, right? You're cooking authentic cuisine. When you're cooking African cuisine, it's because you're from the continent. When you're cooking Italian cuisine, it's from the continent. When you're cooking, Latinx cuisine, same thing. Like, it's the foods that your mothers cooked for you, right? Your grandmothers cooked for you. And people really understand that story. They understand the authenticity in it. They want you to root for you. Everybody wants to root for the underdog. I mean, it is addictive to say, man, you're from my local city and I probably shop at the same Target as you, the same Walmart, whatever. And people are really attracted and gravitate toward you all social media presence, because you get to do it in such an authentic way, in the same way that your food is. So it's been working since 2008. It's still been working now. And that sharing of your story, I see that in the chat, right? It's just so important. And you get to do it from a level of authenticity that most bigger box organizations can't. I mean, who cares about the story of Chipotle? I certainly don't. Right. I mean, it's like, it's whatever, but I definitely care about the story of African Chop, because I'm like, oh, like, how did you do this? You know what I mean? It's always a family story. It's always so organic. And so I believe fully that social media is the way. And then, of course, technology, right? I clearly created a technology. And so one of the things that are important for us is that you know your audience. So owning your data, when you have a customer, being able to get repeat customers by sending them emails and different loyalty content is really important. And so we make that easy for you, right? Being able to share your location and people be able to follow that in real time without you having to do it. You set your location, but people can follow you on your exclusive page. Also super helpful, because the thing is, when I want you, I want to be able to find you, and you don't want to have to be responsible for uploading that. So we allow you to auto upload your schedules to social media, which is helpful, right? You get to set it and forget it. So things like that are important. The other thing that technology can help you with, ours is one of them that does really great, is we partner with bigger organizations, and we have a whole bank of different events that people want different types of cuisines, right? We have a matching process, which is also automated and built into the system, and you go there and you get guaranteed revenue, right? And so that's a way to market yourself as well. You say, hey, I make the best tacos and they're looking for a taco truck. Let me show my interest. The enterprise selects you, that match is made. You get a guaranteed minimum and an associated audience. And from that, new emails, right, for people to market to. So it's a flywheel. It works really seamlessly. So social media, great technology. That's all you need. Share your authentic stories, be your authentic self. But when I tell you, like, this industry is the goats of that, you have nothing to worry about.
I love that. I love that. There's so much great information in there, even just down to like sharing what hours you're going to be open and where they can find you on social media. Because sometimes I see a picture of a festival and I'm like, where's that taco truck going to be next? Because I missed it last time, but I need to know. So that makes so much sense. Okay, before we get into our last formalized question for our experts, and we're going to move into the Q&A, I just want to remind everyone, if you have a question, we have scheduled time for that. So please drop your question in the chat. We're going to answer absolutely as many as we can. Okay, so my last question is, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is starting a food truck business today? And Beauty, I'd love to start with you.
Yeah, so I would say leverage community resources and build your community, like build your network. That is so important, that you are building a strong community of either like-minded individuals. So whether that is food industry, like related, like experts, owners, that could be food truck owners. I would say like joining local business associations or food truck associations is going to be so helpful, because you're able to learn so much about others' experiences and then talk about the challenges, talk about like, where did we get our truck? This is where we got our truck wrapped, or this is a technology that, that we found to be really helpful. And so I have found that my clients, the ones that are more successful, and I think slightly happier as well, are the ones that have that strong network of like-minded individuals. And I see also that then they start collaborating, which is such a beautiful thing when you start seeing different groups that are collaborating. Even this, it could be like food trucks, and they're like, let's put on an event together, let's put on this festival together, or you should definitely apply to this event. And that also helps out with like bringing new clients, like getting in front of new audiences. And then it just helps you navigate, I think, like the challenges of this crazy industry. And also reaching out to see what community resources are available are so important. Accion obviously is an amazing organization that has tons of resources. I recommend all my clients that they check that the page that Emma dropped a while ago, that was the resource page, because they're constantly updating that information with expert information, and you're finding out about new programs that Accion has. But I would also say check out locally what your economic development in your city, what they're doing as well, because there's resources for people in your city that are only for people in your city, whether that's in the form of a grant, 0% loans my clients have gotten through that. There's accelerator programs. So make sure that you build a strong network, and then that you also search for community resources.
Love that. Yes, getting plugged in your city or your community is so key. And Sophie, same question for you. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone starting a food truck business today?
Yeah, I'm going to give the dreamer advice, because we already got the really great practical advice that I think is so important. But I think one of my favorite slogans is just do it. Like Nike, I don't know who came up with it, but I just think it's like the smartest thing. It's so classic, it's timeless. And I think it just speaks to the thought of not overthinking something, right? So many times small businesses never get off the ground because people think of all the reasons of like not doing it. It's like, oh my God, I got to get the regulation, my compliance and the regulation piece done. I got to get the truck. What if I've never, done this before, or, X, Y, and Z, right? There are so many reasons, and there will always be millions of reasons not to do something, but the reward goes to those that do, right? If you are very passionate, if this idea, you think about it all the time, it keeps you up at night to the point where you are literally unsatisfied, right, with what you're doing day to day, because you know that your passion is starting your own business, then I say just do it, because you can figure out everything else, right? Action is going to be able to provide you with like resources and funding if you qualify, right? You're going to be, if compliance is just answering a bunch of questions, all, no matter how boring they are, it's just answering a bunch of questions. But guess what? When you answer them 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that permit, right? And if you don't get it, you know what you've done wrong. You have another peel at the onion. Buying a truck new versus used, it's only a decision, right? You can figure it out, but you got to decide to just do it, because you deserve ownership, right? You deserve your dream. You deserve to do your passion. And there will be so many people standing in your way telling you why you should doubt your passion. And I'm just simply not going to be one of those people. So let's get it done. The resources are there for you. You can figure out anything, because smart people can always figure it out. And I think that's just going to get you on the road faster. And I think ownership and economic mobility and equity is hand in hand. And I just really believe that SMBs, they run the world, right? Both statistically and, statistically, and also just like you should know that because your dreams are valid and your dreams are what make this country great. So get out there.
I love it. I'm ready to get behind the wheel of something. Okay.
Right.
Somewhere I'm ready. Okay. We've got so many really good questions. So I'm going to jump right into the Q&A and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. So Emma has been sharing any links and resources and things in the chat. So please take a look there. The first question, I'm going to kick it to Viri, but obviously, we like to have a nice open communication. So anybody can jump in. So what financial advice do you give to people in planning to buy a food truck? And she says, do you suggest saving the amount of your startup costs or financing a food truck? Basically, how does someone know when they're financially prepared to make that move?
Yeah. So I think it's helpful. It's going to depend, right? It depends on your situation. It depends how much money you have saved up. It depends on how much risk you're willing to take on. So I don't think I have like a just general piece of advice, but to say like, if you have X amount. So what I would say is if you work on calculating your startup expenses, like after I do that with my clients, we evaluate how do we feel about that budget, right? Like, does it make sense for us to spend $100,000 in this project? Do we want to spend $100,000 in the, on this project? So I would say first come up with that startup expense list and then evaluate that total amount. And then usually for clients, I have clients that it's a combination. They will put like some amount of savings in there, and that'll come either from business savings or personal savings. And then we will apply for like microloans or they'll get investors. So it's usually a combination of money. So it's not like one way or the other. I've had clients that have purchased, like they saved up for years to purchase a brand new food truck, but that was their decision, right? Because they didn't want to take on any debt. I have other clients that they're like, I have $10,000. So what can we do with this $10,000? And I have other clients that they're like, I have X amount in budget. So start out by working on those startup expenses first. And then from there, you can come up with a combination of the startup expenses. More than happy. I'm one of the coaches for the Acción Coaching Hub. This is something that we can absolutely go through and, on a personal, case.
Yes. So, that is really key. We're going to drop that link in the chat so you can have a free coaching session with Viri. If you have a really specific question, we may not get to it today because you'll hear kind of a theme is it depends. Like we really need to know what area you're in or what specifically you're trying to do in stage. So we really encourage you, if you'd like one of those sessions, they're completely free to go ahead and sign up with one or sign up for one. Okay, my next question is for Sophie. How important is brand consistency in running your food truck business?
So important. It's interesting because the word that I use instead of brand consistency is authenticity, right? Because then you don't feel so trapped, right, into one look and feel, right? I think the best thing that anybody can do is present themselves authentically and then build their brand around that. And by doing that, you'll be inherently consistent. Okay, because you'll always be authentic to what your business is and what it's doing, but it also gives it the flexibility of like ebbs and flowing a little bit. And I just like the fluidity of how that feels. And so brand consistency is super important. Do it through authenticity, bring your customers along, develop your look and feel around that, right? I'm Nigerian and the flavors that I cook it has that like heat from the inside type of vibe, right? And so that's the brand that I would have, right? It'd be, that international feel, that flavorful feel. It would probably have colors that are reflective of my country, things like that, right? And because it's authentic to me, that consistency would build throughout the menu. It would be build into the wrapping of the truck. It would also build into that story that I share on social media because it's authentically me, right? So think about it like that. But it is fundamental, right? Brand consistency is critical because people need to feel like they know you, and that every time they tap in, they're going to get a consistent experience. They're not going to come in one day and you're going to give, a Western African feel, and then the next day they have some like Caribbean feel. It's like, what? Like, what happened? I don't, you know, great food on both sides, but totally different, right? Like, so you want that consistency is super, super important.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you tell your friend about it, and then you're like, the food is so good. This isn't exactly what I was
Exactly. And they welcome, they're like, well, that's not what I had from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question for both speakers. So I'll start with Viri and then go to Sophie. What is your take on food truck versus a food trailer?
It's gonna depend, right? It depends on what your concept is, what kind of food you're serving. It depends on the audience, and then also where you want to sell and how you want to sell. There's obviously different costs associated with it as well. I feel that maybe with the food truck, you have more opportunities to cook maybe more items and you can take it to different events. I think with the trailer, it could be really good for like private events, right? If someone wants to set something up specifically. I think that depending on what your financial situation is, I have some clients that start out with a trailer until they save up enough money to go to that next phase. So I'm gonna say it depends, right? So take a look at your budget, take a look at what the concept is, and then what your plan to sell is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
I think I would echo that, except I have a preference for food truck over food trailer because I think it's more flexible, right? So if it was me making the decision for you, I would say a food truck over a food trailer because you always know the space, right? It's movable. So a lot of times like trailers are like hard to move. Like when you want to put them down, you kind of put them down. I've seen them more effective in, the festival environment, the private event like environment where you get to like leave it there and then come back to it. But a truck, you can always, it's always moving. It can go anywhere. You kind of watch the height of it because sometimes that can be a bit of an issue. But I think it's just a way more flexible and reliable way to sell food. However, if you're only going to be doing like festivals, pop-up events, things like that, a trailer is 1000% efficient and it costs less, right? So you just gotta goes back to it depends on how you want to make money. But the more flexible option by far is the food truck itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love that. Okay, next question is about franchising. We've actually got a couple of questions here about how do you successfully franchise a food truck because you don't see too
Yeah.
many out there or anything like that. So, Sophie, I'll start with you and then kick it to Viri.
Yeah, I have a few franchise clients. One, it always starts with a really great menu, really great concept, right? You got to grow that individual popularity. It has to be something where your truck and your operations are going so gangbusters that you're like and you're getting asked, you'll know, right? It really is like you'll know, the data will tell you. Again, this is why I'm a big advocate for good comprehensive technology because the data will tell you like you are going gangbusters and you need a second truck. You'll get a second truck and you're like, oh gosh, I need a third truck. And finally you'll be like, you know what? I should just sell this concept. Because I have it all packaged. I have an operational model. I now can tell you over my 2 to 3 trucks what net revenue looks like. You can't really tell that from one truck. But when you have 2 or 3 trucks, you can start to say, if you follow this SOP, right? The standard operating procedure, I can guarantee that you're going to make a minimum of this, or the data shows that you're going to make a minimum of this. Well, how do you know? Because I have 3 of them. And and now, I could do 4, 5, 6, 30, but that's a lot of capital for me. I'd rather sell the SOP, get my 5 to 7% franchise fee and let you do it. Now I get to be the master creator. I'm creating the cool menus. I'm helping logistically on how people are getting their inventory, things like that. I'm leading on the marketing. And now all you have to do is spin up that marketing thing. So you want to start by just having a good personal concept. Then you want to expand that personal concept to 2 or 3 trucks on your own so that you come up with that SOP. The SOP is then what you sell, right? That's the saleable piece. That's when you have the marketing down. That's when you have the logistics down on where you get the food and how much it costs. You have the pricing down so you can pass that on and you can help people understand what their margins and things like that will be like. It's something that Good Fine helps people do, but 1000%, you definitely want to start there.
I love that. And Viri, anything to add on franchising?
Yeah, I would say if that's your vision for growth, that's such a great thing for you to know from the onset, because then when you are making decisions about your menu, when you are making decisions about the procedures, about operations, that'll really help guide you and start, like, that'll help you also start documenting things, because oftentimes as small business owners, we're just going, or even things like recipes, we don't write them down, or the way we do certain things, we don't write them down, the way we get clients, right? There's no SOPs. And so I think that knowing that from the onset is so helpful, because that'll motivate you to do the things that may be a little bit more boring, which is the documentation of it. But I think it'll be motivating for you to know, I can sell this at some point, and that it doesn't have to be complicated, right? I think it's really about having simple operations, right? And having the right technology, like being able to clearly define that concept is so important. So I would say, if you know that, then let that like guide you and motivate you, and start documenting once you've got those procedures down.
Yes, I love that. And I think we're at the top of the hour, just a bit over, but I think we talked earlier that every single one of these questions could be their own 1 hour webinar. So we really tried to jam pack this in for y'all. I really want to thank Sophie and Vidi for coming here and sharing all of their expertise and answering all those wonderful questions. Don't worry if you had a question that didn't get answered. Like I said, we have the resources coming tomorrow. And after you leave today, there's going to be a really quick survey, and you'll be able to drop, what you thought about today's webinar, any love for the speakers, anything like that. Please let us know, because we always love to make these better and more useful for you, because we know you're busy. So, so please take that survey. And thank you all for joining us. We will see you in the next one. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So wonderful talking to you all.
You.
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.